The Krill and the Venathi had been at war for 300 cycles. Their battlefield stretched across the barren moon of Terthos 9, a desolate rock rich in quantum minerals that both civilizations desperately needed. For generations, soldiers from both sides had died in the toxic wasteland, their bodies dissolving within hours from exposure to the moon's naturally occurring acidic spores that drifted through the thin atmosphere like microscopic daggers. General Vorsk of the Krill Empire stood in his command tower, his 4 eyes scanning the battlefield through reinforced viewing ports. The Venathi forces had established a new position near the eastern ridge, and casualties on both sides had reached unacceptable levels. The spores alone killed more soldiers than enemy fire. Even with advanced environmental suits, a single breach meant agonizing death within minutes. That's when the anomaly appeared on his sensors. "General," his tactical officer chittered nervously, her antennae twitching. "There's an unauthorized life form in the neutral zone. Biosignature reads as human." Vorsk's mandibles clicked in confusion. Humans were the newest species to achieve interstellar travel, barely a century into their space age. They were considered primitive by galactic standards. Curious, yes, but largely irrelevant to the great powers. What would one be doing here, in the deadliest contested zone in this sector? "Visual confirmation," Vorsk commanded. The screen flickered, and there she was, a human female walking casually through the spore-filled wasteland without any environmental protection. She wore simple clothing, what humans called jeans, and a jacket, completely inadequate for the hostile environment. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she carried a large container slung over her shoulder. "Is her suit invisible? Some kind of force field?" Vorsk demanded. "No, General. She has, nothing. No protection at all." Across the battlefield, Vorsk knew the Venathi were seeing the same thing. The fighting had already stopped, both armies frozen in disbelief. The human, his database identified her as Mira Kale, a xenobiologist from Earth, walked to a cluster of the spore-producing fungi that grew in twisted formations across the moon's surface. These were the source of the deadly spores, the reason both armies wore sealed suits, the silent killer that had claimed thousands. Mira Kale knelt down beside the largest fungal growth, and she picked one. Vorsk felt his breathing spiracles constrict in horror. Direct contact with the fungus was considered instant death. The spores it released at that proximity would be concentrated enough to dissolve flesh in seconds. But Mira Kale didn't dissolve. She examined the fungus with academic interest, turning it over in her bare hands. Then she opened her container, pulled out a small knife, and began to slice the fungus into pieces. "What is she doing?" Vorsk whispered. His tactical officer's voice trembled. "General, I think she's preparing to eat it." Impossible. But impossible was exactly what happened next. Mira Kale pulled out a small, portable heating unit, placed a pan on it, and began to cook the fungus. The spores that would have killed any Krill or Venathi in seconds billowed around her as the heat activated them. She waved her hand to disperse the cloud, seemingly annoyed by it the way one might be bothered by smoke from a campfire. Then she ate it. She ate the thing that had killed thousands of their soldiers. Vorsk watched, his 4 eyes wide with primal terror, as the human chewed thoughtfully, swallowed, and then cut another piece. She ate it with the casual indifference of someone having a simple meal, occasionally making notes on a datapad between bites. "Get me a communication channel to the Venathi command," Vorsk said quietly. "Immediately." Within minutes, he was staring at Supreme Commander Thelzara of the Venathi Collective, her crystalline features reflecting the same horror he felt. "You're seeing this?" Vorsk asked. "We are," Thelzara replied, her usual commanding tone reduced to a whisper. "General Vorsk, what are humans?" "I thought we knew. The database says they're from a Class 7 death world, but so are the Venathi." So are my people. We evolved to handle our homeworlds. That fungus would kill me in 30 seconds, Thelzara said. It would kill you in 20. She's been exposed for 10 minutes. She's eating it. They watched as Mira Kyle finished her meal, packed up her equipment, and collected several specimens of the fungus into her container. She hummed something, humans called it music, as she worked. Then she noticed the armies. Mira Kyle looked up, seeing the thousands of soldiers on both sides of the battlefield, all frozen and staring at her. She raised one hand in what the database identified as a friendly wave. "Hello?" Her voice came over the open communication frequency. "Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt anything. I'm doing research on extremophile fungi. This species is fascinating. Highly toxic to most carbon-based life, but completely edible if you know how to prepare it. Tastes like what we call mushrooms back home. Nutty, with a slight metallic finish." Vorsk's translator struggled with some of her words, but the meaning was clear enough. "You," he began, then stopped. What could he even ask? Mira Kale seemed to sense the confusion. "Oh, right. I should mention, I filed all the proper permits with both your governments for my research here. I thought the war would be on hold for another cycle. Did I get the schedule wrong?" She checked her datapad. "No. Says here you're not supposed to resume fighting until next week. The war," Thelzara said slowly, "is over." "Oh?" Mira Kale looked genuinely surprised. "That's wonderful. Did you finally work out the mineral rights dispute?" "No," Vorsk said, finding his voice. "We're leaving. Both of us. Immediately." He switched to his command channel. "All Krill forces. Full retreat. Abandon all positions on Terthos 9. Effective immediately." Across the battlefield, he could see the Venathi doing the same thing. Mira Kale looked confused. "But what about the quantum minerals? I thought those were valuable." Vorsk stared at the human who had just eaten their death, who walked through their apocalypse like a garden, who had ended a 300-cycle war by having lunch. "You can have them," he said. "All of them. Humanity can have this entire moon. We'll find minerals somewhere else." As the Krill forces began their evacuation, Vorsk made a note in his personal log. Recommendation to the Empire. Avoid conflict with humanity at all costs. They do not fear death. They consume it. Behind them, Mira Kyle shrugged, collected a few more fungus samples, and continued her research, utterly unaware that she had just redefined humanity's position in the galactic community. The war ended not with a final battle, but with a meal. And across the galaxy, when species spoke of humans, they would remember. These were beings who ate what killed them and smiled while doing it.